Hi students, it's your instructor here, hoping you all are doing well. I just wanted to pop in with a short little video about some of your final assignments so you have some clarity and you feel really confident. If for any reason you don't feel confident, absolutely come talk to me. I have office hours every week. Some of you are really good at coming, some of you not so much, but again, that's what that is for. Of course, if I was sitting in class going over this assignment with you, we could dialogue back and forth and produce that clarity in a more organic way. But that's really, since we're online, it's really up to you to come to me. So I just want you to know I am here. So the first thing we're going to go over is the Where to Invade Next assignment. So I have the parameters here on Canvas for you. This assignment is going to be 5 to 6 pages plus a reference page, and it's worth 50 points. So as I mentioned this week in your announcement, you want to be working on this. What you're going to find if you peruse through the bottom of your modules that you have 2 big papers due at the end. And so a few of, these are things that you need to be working on throughout the rest of the course, and we're almost done. So that's really exciting. So the purpose of this assignment. So for one, I really enjoy this documentary. I think it does a really good job at illustrating how, our systems do what they've been set up to do. And when we come from a certain culture, sometimes we don't recognize that, the way we do things is very much produced by our culture and by our norms and the things we value, right? So for instance, if you look at healthcare in the United States, we're one of the only westernized countries that do it this way in a for-profit fashion, but we have to understand the importance of capitalism in the United States. So again, just to get you thinking about that, right? Now we start to see, after COVID and everything else, can these systems sustain, does it make sense to have a system like this where you would have someone who doesn't have insurance with COVID just saying, well, I can't go because, I can't afford it. Obviously, that creates more problems for other people if they are, spreading the disease. So purpose of this assignment, you are going to explore one country's social structure that is profiled in the film. So that's one thing I want to be really, really clear about. You are only going to be looking at one of these systems that Michael Moore has gone over in the film. You don't need to go over every single one. So that's really important. It really breaks down that assignment for you. We're going to use our sociological imaginations to look at the historical and cultural, the political, and the economic aspects. So you just did this with the 13th, and most of you did a really good job at this. So I can tell already that you are starting to see how these forces come to influence these systems, right? Lastly, you're going to analyze several sources to help create a deeper understanding of the costs and benefits of the country setup and compare them to the same system from the American side. So for instance, Michael Moore talks about in his film, he's like, I'm picking the flowers, I'm not picking the worst. So these are really known to be some of the best systems of the world. But it's really it's not for you to just take his word for it. It's on you to do the research and to really kind of unpack and explore, maybe this isn't the best system in the world. Maybe he was wrong, or, or maybe you're looking at that research to validate these statements going, wow, Norway really does have a fantastic prison system. So the first thing you're going to do is view the film. I would recommend viewing it once just to watch it and absorb it. And then lastly, go back and watch that particular segment that you're interested in doing. One cool thing about this film, you can obviously find it on Canvas, but I believe YouTube used to have all of the segments posted. So if you want to just go back and look at, what they said about France or something like that, feel free to do that. They should still be there. Okay, so after you've watched the film, you're going to decide, okay, what's one particular system that I want to look at? You know me, I love crime and deviance, so I'm going to look at the Norwegian prison system. I thought that was really, really interesting. So what you're going to be looking at is, how did Norway get to this system? What aspects of their culture contributed to the influence of the creation of this system, right? So you're going to do some preliminary research to get a sense of, when did this change happen? Has it always been like this? Most of the countries are pretty easy to research. The only one that some students, I have seen it done very successfully, but it is a little bit more challenging. There just isn't the same amount of research about education in Slovenia. So I will just disclaimer that if you were looking at Slovenia, that might be a harder one. There just isn't as much research, but that's okay. So you're going to go through the system, look at what is it about their history, their economic, and their political forces. So in terms of economic in Norway, if you look at their GDP and things like that, they are a very rich nation. So they actually have quite a bit of money. And when you look at how much they're spending per inmate, you could go, wow, would we ever be able to do that? And again, what's really impactful about their system is their recidivism rate is really, really low. So it's actually working. Some people might go, oh, you guys are being too nice, or that would never work in America. And I'm not saying it would. But it really, really is interesting to start looking at these different systems. Okay, so you're gonna look at those 3 dimensions, right? You're exploring the formation of this. How did it come to be, right? And then once you're done with that, you're gonna explore the same process on the American side. So for instance, if you decided to look at the American prison system, you would look at all of those factors. I want you to go beyond what you did in the 13th if you were exploring Norway's prison system, and provide examples that you did not provide in, the assignment a few weeks ago. Because there's so many that, this shouldn't be a repeat of another assignment. There are so many different dimensions to explore, right? And the film only looked at so many, right? So you're going to do the same thing. So this is a way that we are comparing and contrasting these 2 systems, right? So then once you kind of figure out, where you're going to go, you're going to click on the Holman Library Sociology Research Guide. The link is right there embedded in the assignment prompt. You're going to input your search words from a preliminary search. The thing about searching, and I'm also going to provide you a research guide from the librarian on how to do the research for this paper. But a lot of times when students come to me during office hours, they're like, I'm having a really hard time finding this particular research. And a lot of that is playing around with these keywords, right? You put in one thing, okay, I'm not really getting what I'm looking for. Let me try this word. Or, hey, I never really thought of calling, this, or something like that. So explore, sometimes, if you're really starting in the preliminary and you know nothing, start with a basic Google search. And if whatever you find, put that into Holman. You're like, okay, I think this might be something here. Put it into Holman and get your academic research there, right? If it's in Holman, you should be fine. And again, you have a whole team of librarians that are working for you, right? So if you're having any problems finding this research, feel free to go to them. Feel free to come to me. But again, don't expect that you're just going to put it in and it should pop up. You're going to have to dig a little bit, right? That's what this whole assignment is about. So when you start writing your paper, and this is a formal paper, so you want an introduction. Your introduction should concisely introduce your reader to the main ideas of your paper, right? The last sentence should include a thesis statement and your main idea while trying to, the main idea that you are trying to convey to the reader. So if you were only outlining, the Norwegian prison system in this paper, you shouldn't be talking about all of the different systems outlined in the film, right? You're just focusing on what you're focusing on. Okay. In the body of their paper, this is where you're using that research from Holman Library database, and you're going to discuss again the basic setup of the system using these 3 dimensions: cultural, historical, and political. Be sure to address one example of each and separate these ideas into paragraph. Each paragraph should be 3 to 5 sentences and also include a topic sentence. I know many of you already know this, but I'm just including this because everybody's coming from different kind of they're all coming from different levels and academically, right? Lastly, you're going to be working towards progress. What policy would you recommend for improving our current system in America? What are social reformers currently doing now? And are there different sides of the angle to this reform? So maybe there's, hey, these reformists never really thought about this, which would maybe be the cost to what it would, what the cost would be to like reform our entire prison system, right? Lastly, you know, your conclusion should restate the main ideas of your paper. Wrap up your essay by reminding your readers of the basic ideas you presented. And again, reiterating that topic sentence. So I also have some information on how to cite your sources here. There's also a grading rubric for you. And just a reminder, you shouldn't be using first or second person. Should be written in third person, so no I's, we's, us, etc. This is in double space, Times New Roman, 1-inch margins. And so hopefully that created a little bit of clarity. I don't, you know, sometimes people look at this prompt and I think they get a little overwhelmed because it's very wordy. And a lot of that is because I've broken everything down for people who maybe haven't written a paper in so many years. But essentially it's a pretty simple process what you're going to be doing. Stay clear, stay on point. Come to me if you have any issues or need any additional help. And best of luck to you. Keep working hard. I just want to remind you, this one is due in a few weeks, but you also have your social autobiography due that following week. So there's not a lot of time here to be kind of sitting around waiting for this to be due. And so I just want to be very clear about that, is that this is not a free week in terms of not having a submission. You should be working on this. So I will be having office hours, most likely Thursday. Feel free to come in. We can explore these ideas, kind of break it down. And again, watch the film first just to kind of absorb it. You can always go back and just look at that one particular piece. And again, this, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but the video, if you haven't watched it yet, it's really nicely separated. You know, each system, it's a pretty clear separation from where he moves from one step to the next. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and happy writing. Hope you all are doing well. Take care.